Hi everyone, welcome back to Ilum Sabers, and thank you for joining me for our holiday special tribute video. As you can tell from the title of the video as well as the thumbnail, the reason this is the holiday special video for the channel is because we are going over the Star Wars Holiday Special Lightsaber. This is the Graflex from the Holiday Special, Luke Skywalker's belt hanger. So this lightsaber was in the Star Wars Holiday Special. For those of you who are not familiar, the Holiday Special was a made-for-TV variety show that was filmed and made specifically for TV, and it aired one time, November 17th of 1978, and then it never aired again because I believe the folks at Lucasfilm were not super happy with how it turned out. There are certainly some oddities and strange things in the holiday special, although the things that were in it were pretty par for the course for a 1970s variety show. That being said, the lightsaber, the reason we're here in this video today is because this lightsaber was created specifically for the holiday special and hung on Luke Skywalker's belt during some of the shots that he is in. So Mark Hamill is in some of the holiday special material, as is Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher, and Peter Mayhew as Chewbacca, Anthony Daniels as C-3PO, and R2-D2 Kenny Baker. The main cast is all in it, other than Darth Vader does not make an appearance outside of the animated section. But this lightsaber hangs on Mark Hamill's belt for the scenes that he is in the holiday special. I don't believe it hangs on his belt during the scenes where he is in his X-Wing jumpsuit, but it does hang on his belt at the end when he's in his all-white farm boy getup. So this lightsaber was taken from a Graflite 2773. So they needed a Graflex. They knew that the original Star Wars film used a Graflex camera flash gun handle for Luke's lightsaber prop. Someone in the props department for the holiday special, which was outside of Lucasfilm. The only thing Lucasfilm actually made for the holiday special was the animated section. So all the live action stuff was really done through the TV studio. So someone from that department created this, and it might have been Lucasfilm adjacent for some of the prop stuff. They might have kind of worked with them somewhat, but like I know, for example, a lot of the lore and canon about Life Day came directly from George Lucas. For the folks for TV were kind of asking him, picking his brain, and so there are actually transcripts of what he said about what the Wookiee holiday is and that kind of thing. And he also described Kashyyyk to them, because up until that point, Kashyyyk was never seen on screen and then wouldn't be seen again until Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. So this lightsaber was for the scenes Mark Hamill was in, but later on, in The Empire Strikes Back, this actually makes another appearance. There are some scenes in which Mark Hamill's body double is shooting some scenes, I believe, in and around Hoth, in the X-Wing jumpsuit, or the flight suit, and you can actually see in some of that behind-the-scenes material that this is the lightsaber hanging off of his belt. So not only was it used in the holiday special, it was also used in some of the additional kind of pickup shots and things for Empire Strikes Back. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to go ahead and switch to the desk cam here in a minute so we can go over some of the fine point details of this hilt and kind of talk about what makes it so unique, and go a little bit more into some of the history as well. All right, so you can see that this is a very unique and different saber from the original Graflex that we see in A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back, and then later in the sequel trilogy. There's a lot going on here. Some of it is similar and derivative of the original Graflex prop, but a lot of it is very, very starkly different. So I mentioned this earlier, but this is a Graflex. You can see here, Graf, and the rest of it is spelled out underneath the control box here. This is a real Graflex camera flash, just like the other one, but it's a different camera flash. So the original camera flash from Star Wars and The Empire Strikes Back are the Graflex 3-cell camera flash gun from around the 1940s and 50s. This model that I'm holding is better known as a Graflite 2773. And the Graflite was made and more popular in kind of the 1970s. So that explains why it appears in a 1978 TV special, because these were in abundance at the time. So it's made by the same company, but it is a very, very different hilt overall. The base that they started with is very, very different. So you don't actually have a real, built-on shroud like the A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back prop. This is not part of the tube. This is actually just aluminum sheet metal that is cut and glued on. And then additionally, you have this piece, which is an end cap. So you've got here at the end where the hilt ends, this actually for filming was cut off and then plugged up. The reason we know this is because this black piece is what originally goes there. So it would actually be quite a bit longer, and there'd be a change in diameter if it was still there. You can see here the piece that was cut is inside there. It's all threaded. So this black piece threads off, and then you're left with these threads at the end of this flash handle. So these had to be cut off, and I try not to do a lot of modification to vintages, but because these are much less sought after and in much more abundance, I was able to convince myself to modify it, because that's the only way to make one of these. There are no replicas of this particular flash handle because they're just not as popular. So you cut off the threads on the end with kind of a chop saw, either motorized or a hand saw. A motorized one is easier to get a clean and straight cut as long as you line everything up right. And then the rest of this was all done by me with the help of Trooper Trent's DIY kit, along with the Halliwax tutorial videos from about 5 years ago. So those are a bit out of date. A lot of the information, like 99%, is still good, but some of it I had to reach out to Trent for, and some of it I had to reach out to some of the groups for, but for the most part, those Halliwax tutorials are still really good. So when you cut off the end, you're basically left with a metal tube. These grips, of course, didn't come on here. This end cap did not come on here. The ring did not come on here. The control box did not come on here. The shroud did not come on here. This was not originally painted black. These arrows did not come originally on this. Neither did this red LED bezel. And this sort of blade plug, sort of tongue sticking out, was originally a piece on the inside, but it was not sticking out like it is on the prop. This is basically the only identifying piece that remains the same. So to kind of go over the work that I had to do here, first of all, cutting off those threads, that was the very first thing. Moving on from that, making the shroud. So you'll notice, like I said earlier, the shroud is a separate piece from the rest of the hilt. That's because they picked up this Graflex and thought, oh, well, we'll just use this, and realized they needed something to put here that would make it look more like the original Graflex. So this is a two-piece shroud cut from the same piece of aluminum, but in different directions. So you'll notice that the grain on this one on top goes this way, like horizontally. I guess if I hold it like this, horizontally. And then the bottom one goes vertically. And that is as per the Halliwax tutorial. You'll also see that there are some dents and two divots right across from each other here at about a 45-degree angle. That's also, you can see those in the reference pics for the prop, as well as the Halliwax tutorial. This is part of the internals that kind of holds in the bulb assembly, and it springs out when you remove that. And what they did for the prop was they bent it around and put it in place, kind of like the internal spring-loaded brass piece on a 3-cell Graflex. So after the shroud was completed, the next thing you had to do was use Trooper Trent stencils and create the proper size square here to tape off and paint. So this section is painted black. It's painted with Rust-Oleum flat black. And then the shroud is then applied over it with E6000. Moving further down, all of this, of course, is not modified in any way. However, in order to get this tongue piece, which is both pressure fit and E6000 in place, in order to get that out and situated the way you need it to be, you have to take this plate off, and this right here is the like the mode switcher. You could use like a screwdriver or something similar and kind of click between modes, and that is really difficult to get back in once you get it out. So just keeping that in mind, you'll have to really be careful not to break it, because it's plastic and it's going in between on the inside. It's going between two metal pieces that are like spring fitted, so you have to push it in between there, but be careful not to push too hard, or else you could chip some of the plastic off and it wouldn't go back in right. This LED bezel is E6000 on with E6000 glue, but it doesn't come this way. It comes with a bunch of like plastic threading on it that you have to cut part of off and then Dremel it down with like a sandpaper attachment until you get it to where it is properly seated on there, because you don't want it to be sticking way up high. So that is really low profile, which is how you want it. And I know that Trent has gone through several iterations of this red LED bezel there, and this is the final one. We believe this is the most accurate one. You want to make sure that there is some silver space between the bottom of the chrome shroud around the LED bezel, between that and this port right here. You want to have a little bit of silver shining through, which you can just see mine has just a hair, but you also want the top of this to be below the top of this black piece here. So you've got to situate it in there just right. Moving over, these two arrows did not come on the flash. These are vinyl stickers that come with Trent's DIY kit and are applied. He has a special way to apply those, so you don't just peel them off and stick them on. You put them on a piece of tape so that they are directly centered above each other, and then you put them in the middle of this port here so that they're both exactly centered. And I should mention, those came in the kit, and this bezel came in the kit. However, the shroud did not come in the kit. Nothing about the shroud came in the kit. I had to buy the sheet metal separately and cut it out on my own, as well as buy sheet metal cutters specifically for that. Trent does provide stencils with which you can create those shapes so you know which shape to cut them in, but it does not come, the shroud does not come pre-cut or prefabricated in any way. So just be aware of that. This DIY kit is not for the faint of heart. Moving further down, we've got the control box here. And the control box is comprised of basically 4 elements. You've got the actual control box, which is like printed in some kind of a resin, 3D printed or cast in resin. And you've got to paint that flat black as well, same color as up here. But you've got to do some sanding before you can do that. You've got to sand it down so that it properly fits on the flash and the paint will adhere to it. So sand it. Then you apply these chrome stickers, and these stickers do come in the kit. The box also comes in the kit. You apply these chrome stickers, and Halliwax has a great guide on how to do that. But you want them to basically be even and the same on both sides and on the ends. Basically, that's how you want that to go. And then, so those are 2 of the elements. The third element are these silver screws. If you watch the Halliwax video, the screws used to be black. Trent told me that silver is actually more accurate. They got more reference photos, and so that's better. And I did use a little bit of acrylic paint to kind of weather these just a little bit, put a little bit of a black wash of acrylic paint over them so that they're not quite so bright. And then the 4th element of the control box then is this center button. We're not sure what that is, maybe some kind of a transistor. It also comes in the same material that the control box comes in, that sort of black resin that you have to sand and then paint. So this one was painted, he suggests using a chrome paint pen and then letting that dry. So I did that, and then I applied a little bit of a black wash over it as well, so that it just looks a little scuffed and a little dirty, not quite a bright finish. Kind of the same as the screws. Moving down a little bit, you've got the grip section, which is comprised basically of 3 elements. One of them is the grips, one of them is the gaffer's tape, and then one of them is the correct grip spacing, which is a big deal because these grips are nowhere near evenly spaced, not even close. I'm going to see if I can, there we go. Okay, so for example, you've got these 2 grips, which in between them where my finger is, they're pretty far apart. You can see the gaffer's tape in the middle, but then moving over, these 2 are almost touching, right? So this is accurate spacing. Halliwax has a video on how to do the accurate spacing. Unfortunately, there's no grip guide like the A New Hope lightsaber because, or the Empire Strikes Back saber, because this is, again, not a very popular or sought after version of the hilt. So you have to kind of do it kind of a more custom way like Halliwax does in his video. The gaffer's tape in here, originally this was thought to be black paint in between the grips, but Trooper Trent found some reference photos that showed that there was kind of a shimmer between the grips that a flat paint would not have. So it was thought that this was probably kind of a gaffer's tape kind of a deal. These grips are Corbanth 2.0 track. That's what Halliwax used in his video. He said that he thought that that was more accurate than actual Roman's track for this specific build. He says he thinks they use something different. It looks a little different. So you have to, there are little pegs on the grips that are made that way so that you can fit them into place properly on the Graflex 2.0. Because this is not a Graflex 2.0, you have to use a Dremel and sand those pegs off. So that is a bit of a time-consuming process. And you want to be careful not to go too far and then end up damaging the grip underneath where that peg sticks out. Then they're applied. So you apply the gaffer's tape according to the Halliwax's video, and you put the seam of the tape in a couple different places where they'll be covered by grips. And then you put the grips on top of the gaffer's tape. You want the gaffer's tape to be uneven at the top. So you'll see here, it's a bit uneven, right? It's not terrible, but it's certainly not perfect. Right there, that's a really good example of where it's a little gnarly. And that's how you want it, because the real one was also like that. There's some reference photos showing it that way. And it really was just thrown on there. So that's how you want that. This end cap comes with the kit. So I should mention, the grips do not come with the kit. The gaffer's tape does not come with the kit. Those are things you'll have to buy separately. The end cap and the keychain style D-ring, or O-ring, I guess we could call it. Although an O-ring is kind of a different thing. But these are both in the kit. They come with the kit. And there is lettering on the bottom of here. I don't know if you can kind of make that out, but the lettering on there basically is just like classic Graflex stamp lettering. It says Graflex, Graflex synchronizer, made in the USA, all that kind of stuff. So this does come in the kit. And once you cut off the threads here, you can glue this in place. However, you want to make sure you glue it accurately in place in regards to the control box and the shroud, so that your grips are accurately placed, because Halowax has you place the grips based on the letters on the end cap. So you'll put, for example, like one grip might go over the Y in the word battery. One grip might go over the A in USA, or whatever. And that's how you know where to put the grips. But I would wait to put this in place until you have your gaffer's tape and your grips applied, just to keep it out of the way. So moving back from the bottom up to the top, we've got the keychain ring and the end plug. These come as two separate pieces, but they're super easy to put together. You just push this into this, and then you can glue this in place. You've got the grips and the gaffer's tape. You've got the control box, which consists of the screws, box, center button, and chrome outer stickers, and those all come in the kit. You'll notice, of course, that this control box does not have a control card, unlike every other control box basically ever. There's no clamp card or control box card here, just because of the way this box is made. It's got all this other wonkiness going on. And you'll notice too that the control box is asymmetrical on top, so this is the correct orientation. You want it facing this way, the wider end facing this way, basically. You also want to make sure that this grip here is basically centered on the control box. You've got the vinyl stickers, the arrows, which do come in the kit. You've got the LED bezel, which does come in the kit, but requires quite a bit of modification to get it to fit. And then you've got the black painted upper section, which is a modification you have to do to the flash. You've got your the little tongue here that sticks out, which is a modification you have to do to the flash. And then you have the shroud, which is aluminum sheet metal. You have to fabricate, glue two of these separate pieces together, make these divots. And I even put a little bit of aluminum black in there and then cleaned it out just to give it a little bit of a darker look on both sides, so you could see it a little better. And then you glue that on top of your black painted section. And you want the right here where this point is in the cut, you want that to be centered right on top of that upper hole. And then you also have to take your Dremel or sandpaper or something and make this an even edge here, because these are two pieces, so this edge is not going to be even when you put those two pieces together, most likely. So you have to make it even there and even there. So those are the things you have to do. Hopefully I did a pretty good job of describing what comes in the kit and what doesn't. There was a lot that I expected would come in the kit, things like grips and the gaffer's tape and stuff like that. that I was, it makes sense why it doesn't come in the kit, because like, for example, the 2.0 grips are hard to come by, just because they're older and no one's actually, actively making grips for them anymore. It would be nice if those were things that came in the kit, because I had to stress a little bit about sourcing some of these extra parts. But the kit is about $50 on Trent's Etsy store. He is super knowledgeable and helpful if you have any questions. He is always super happy to help. I could not recommend the kit enough. Just make sure you know what you're getting into before you buy it, before you try to do it yourself. Otherwise, you could always commission someone to do one of these builds for you. And again, $50 is not crazy expensive for what you get in that kit. You get quite a bit, but there are a couple things you have to source yourself, so just be aware of that. So I will probably do a video in the future comparing this directly side by side to the A New Hope Accurate Graflex, especially because both of these are vintage. This and the A New Hope Graflex are vintage. So I think that'd be a really cool comparison to do. And then you'll kind of see the side-by-side differences, where they tried to make this look like the original Graflex, and where they succeeded and ultimately failed at doing so. This is a really unique hilt. Reminds me a lot of kind of the Graflex version of the Luke V2. So moving forward, I will try to do that comparison video between the Holiday Special Graflex and the A New Hope Graflex. Be on the lookout for that. In the meantime, I'm going to switch to the front-facing camera, do the outro, and see you guys next time. Thanks so much for joining me today for the video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like, and you can leave a comment as well, kind of letting me know what you think about the Holiday Special Saber. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Personally, it's one of my favorites. I think that it's super unique, and especially next to the regular Graflex, it's a fantastic kind of juxtaposition. A lot of really cool things going on here. If you enjoy the videos that I've been doing on the channel, please subscribe if you haven't already. Really kind of lets me know that what I'm doing is something that people like seeing. And until the next time, may the Force be with you.